Welcome to the Union Fitness Podcast with your host, the Todd Hammer,
with the Charles E. Jasper, and the non-curly mustache man.
Hi, everybody.
Josh, the producer, from the producer's film, great musical, Elsass.
I just hate that, you sat here and rambled on for 10 minutes about being ready, and then the second you are ready, you blew everybody's eardrums out by screaming into the mic.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah.
Okay,
Josh, Can we start it with the Sports Center sound?
No, we're not going to introduce yet because I want to make an official declaration here.
I told you to take that fucking thing away from him.
The language, huh? Before we introduce our special
Sports
Center beat LeBron James guest,
Yeah.
Josh Elsass
What?
recently rode his bicycle from Georgetown, Washington, D.C. to Pittsburgh.
In many various colorful outfits.
Very nice work. I want to
Just two.
congratulate you.
They were nice.
And say you and your wife did a magnificent job.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate
How's
it.
your tushy?
It's better now. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
It hurts.
It does hurt.
Yeah.
It really does for about a week.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
back to the point. So today, special guest, former George Washington student, 4-time NCAA tournament participant, better than LeBron James because she beat him on SportsCenter top 10, where she was number 4. LeBron James was number 5. Cydney Crasa.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
Thanks, Sam. Pretty good. Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's awesome to have you. I thought, Olympics, gymnastics, plus your current job. There were so many things. I was like, hey, we need to talk to Cyd.
Yeah, I don't even know anything about this, so this will be good.
He's flying blind.
Yeah.
I would love all the questions. I'm definitely ready to.
So just so you know, me and CJ, our relationship is I know things. I don't fill him in on anything. And I say, let's roll. And he's like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
No.
So that's pretty much what we're going with today. And Josh, his job is to just go nuts when he tries to understand what we're doing.
Try to wrangle us, but we're covered in butter.
I so prefer the other guys. All right.
So Cyd, let's lead it off. Let's go for the home run here. Tell us, you're better than LeBron James, I hear.
Yeah. So SportsCenter said in April of 2 years ago now, I was competing in the postseason tournament at LSU. And it was first day, so we had to play in, and we had to win that meet to go to the next round. And so I was first up on the event that I actually ended up being on the TV for. And without even knowing, we ended up winning the meet. But after at night, we had went to bed because we were getting ready for another one. And I had gotten a DM from like a random baseball player being like, hey, I think I just saw you on SportsCenter. And I was like, oh, yeah, like my team probably won that, right? Like it's probably just my team. Yeah, like we did a really good job. And he was like, no, you did. And then I immediately was like, Mom, Dad, like stay up, watch the thing. I need to go to sleep. And like in the morning I woke up to videos and all these texts, and it was really cool. So they don't tell you you're going to be on SportsCenter when you're going to be on SportsCenter, but it was definitely a very iconic moment.
What a surprise.
And what was your score on that?
I won the meet on that event, but I think it was somewhere around the 9-8 range.
That's good. CJ.
Yeah, out of 10.
Yeah, not out of 20.
Yeah.
CJ doesn't know gymnastics. So,
But when you stuck it, you were lit. When you stuck that landing, you were lit. How did you know? You were.
Yeah.
Did you just feel it or what,
bro?
So, okay, gymnastics, especially college, like even if it's your best or your worst, you can kind of like not fake the judges out, but like add more enthusiasm. And like the more enthusiastic you are, the more that you can kind of convince them that it was better than it was, or if it actually was your best one. So this one was like pure, I knew I landed a really good vault, and like pure pride, I guess, for that. And yeah, we were at the postseason. We were in a huge arena, the PMAC, and so there's a lot of excitement. And just to get the ball rolling for my team for that meet, it was cool.
So the Olympics just ended. I want to delve into gymnastics a little. This was a big thing this year in the Olympics.
Huge, yeah.
With what happened to Simone Biles stepping out and people getting upset because they're soft and they can't handle. She's tougher than them, in my honest opinion. The twisties. I want to know about the twisties. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm watching everything.
That's a new
you're
word.
Up in the air. You're spinning around. Serious question. I never asked you this. How the hell do you know where you are in space?
Yeah, you don't.
Good
I've got, it's crazy. Thinking back, like on it, when it's happening, it's not like you don't know it's happening, but you kind of want to ignore the fact that it's happening because you're like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's like, okay, well, I thought I was going to do this, and then it came out something completely different.
Oh.
And I actually struggled with that definitely even in my college career, like on my vault that I ended up doing really well on. Some practices, thankfully, it was only a practice because I would only do like a half, and I'd go to my back, and I'd be like, wait, why? Like, that was supposed to be a full, like all the way around, like 360. And I do like half to my back. And thankfully, I've never had like a serious injury doing that, but it's definitely a moment of confusion and just like out of body experience that you don't even realize is happening until you're, on the ground. So
how many bad landings or bad have you
Yeah.
does it happen often?
Well, so I mean, as a gymnast, you need to learn how to fall. You need to learn how to fall safely, and I think you're taught that from a very young age. Of like, make sure your arms are crossed. They're not like behind your back if like you're in a bad place, so you can like prevent injury. But I think there's definitely those moments where you're just trying to like fall safely and like good padding mats. Like at the Olympics, you're doing it on a hard landing. You're doing like what Simone did in the middle of the air, the fact that she was able to find her feet, that was so impressive. Like super impressive. Probably hurt her knees a lot, to be honest, because she squatted it like so low. But a lot of the times, like you're working out those kinks in practice on like soft landings and things like that. So it's not as like hard on the body, but you could take an intense fall and like hurt yourself. So
Do you think you could stop down and teach the Todd Hammer how to land? Because if you look at his ankle, it's probably as thick as his neck right now.
I had a
Oh,
minor
yeah.
accident off a pull-up bar yesterday, and my ankle was about twice as big as the other ankle.
He is probably the most unathletic coach that coaches people
I
I've ever
know
seen.
some unathletic coaches. Not you, CJ. You're not bad.
Not bad.
I'm old. Give me a pass,
him.
bro.
You need to do some stick drills.
Stick drills.
In my defense, I was coming off of a rack that has the dumbest little piece of metal sticking out you'll ever find. I hit it, twisted the ankle one direction, then came back and twisted it back the other direction. So I did like a double whammy on it. And it hurt.
Yeah.
And so I took 3 beers last night before bed.
Yeah.
I didn't just take my regular one. I went all 3.
Yeah.
And that seemed to help until I woke up at 2 a.m. and had to pee. And it was excruciating. Like I remember like shuffling into the bathroom, like, oh gosh, I had 2 beers. But
Oh, no hell.
so can we get back to
Well, I'm just trying to help you for your future. You know?
Can you teach CJ how to walk on his hands? He's going CrossFit next.
I'll do it. I'll try.
Go for it.
Strongman,
Bring
then
on the wall.
CrossFit, then might as well.
Whatever.
Bike to DC and back.
So the Olympics. What do your average person? I find gymnastics amazing in this sense. It's one of those sports every 4 years everyone gets into, and everyone opines on it for some stupid reason. And that one of the cool parts about the Olympics is that people see sports they don't usually see.
Yeah.
And gymnastics is not a sport that is generally on a Sunday night. Gymnastics on ESPN. What 2 things? 1, what's your average person need to know? And 2, if someone's interested in gymnastics, how do they look at it, watch it, learn about it?
Yeah. So I definitely think that, like you said, like the enrollment for gyms that even I just coach at, it goes so much higher during the Olympic year. And it's when everyone watches and they're like, I want to get into that. And I think that that's something so special about the sport is that every time it is highlighted on TV, it's definitely piques people's interests. So it's something that develops you in a way like that you don't even realize, like my balance, my muscles. I've been using like different muscles that I wouldn't even know, or like the average person wouldn't even know existed until you do gymnastics. And like just your reaction time and your just things that you probably wouldn't have even used or developed at such a young age. So I think that's such a strength of the sport is that like little kids, it's a way to get their energy out, but it's also a way to develop and kind of carry them into any sport that they want to do. So the average person, I think gymnastics looks really cool on the outside, but also like it has a lot of benefits for your body and just being able to do really cool flips and stuff.
I
would love tricks and stuff.
And I think it's important, as someone who's worked with, and I know CJ will attest to this, multitude of sports and athletes. I don't think people appreciate, like people always see football and basketball. and they think, oh, they deserve to be paid or they deserve this. And the commitment it takes to be in certain sports like rowing, where they're going to be up at 5 a.m. and have to be on the cold river. Gymnastics, like you guys practiced in a different state.
Yeah.
You guys took a van. I remember one day I get a call and it says, hey, half the gymnastics team won't be lifting today. There was a car accident. The van got hit. Which, Josh, you have to pull up the picture of their new vans. Because it is like Pimp My Van, GW Gymnastics vans that they take.
Empty crib for this van.
Yeah, I mean, this is like Pimp My Ride stuff. But I don't think most people understand that commitment level that most people really put, or the most athletes of gymnastics or rowing or some of these I don't want to call them lesser known sports, really put into their sport. There it is. Look at that thing.
Oh, that's flash.
Yeah, so this is what they get to take to practice. And it was a good, 40 minutes away?
Yeah, on a good day, like 35, 30, if I was driving. Go a little quicker. But yeah, I totally agree with you that like gymnastics is not something that you can just pick up every week. It had to be a commitment from when you were young, like competitively. You had to do it and you had to practice year round. Summers was amped up 2 times a day. So it was definitely a sacrifice, a great sacrifice, but it took a lot of discipline to like give up the school dances or like things that normal kids did and parties and stuff to like really get yourself to the next level if you wanted to do that. So
and you were lucky because you were coached by a legend of the sport. I mean, Margie, it's funny when I took the job at George Washington, my next door neighbor was the assistant gymnastics coach at Pitt. And she was like, oh my God, you're going to George Washington? Margie is the best coach I know in the country. So give us a good Margie story, because I don't know that many, because I never got to go out to practice because you guys were far away. So I got to get a good story here.
Oh no, him. Okay. She just knew what to tell you. I mean, my relationship with her over the years, I've known her since I was 16. I took my first visit to GW, so it's almost been 10 years where I've known Margie on a level where, I could see her as being my coach, to turning into my coach, to just being someone that I could turn to for life. So, a story off the top of my head, I don't even know. There are just so many huddles that are just so, like, Margie's so intentional that the stories she tells us, whether they're funny or not, like, they have a purpose, and you can connect a story about her talking about, there's one story that popped in my head, but she basically talked about how, like, if you feed a bird, you have like a bird, right? And you want to get it like all these cool things and stuff, and you want to get it the coolest toy, you want to get it the coolest thing. But if the bird dies because you didn't buy it food and water, then you're left with no bird. So I think there was just so many different like analogies that she used to make you really realize, like, okay, this is connected to like real life, and it's not just coached in the gym. It's like you need to be able to take care of yourself and like really give yourself the food and water that you need so that you can kind of manage all the other extra things that go on as a college athlete. So incredible woman, incredible opportunities from her, and the relationship is never going to be over, so it just changes as I get older.
And I love that, being a person who's worked a lot with college athletics, Charles, having that relationship that you say, it's never going to end. I'll always have this person in my life. And I know you have former student athletes. I have former student athletes. Ironically, we have a lot of student athletes who I trained and then CJ trained, and it's interesting to have those relationships. But I want to shift a little to, because this is going to be a shock to CJ. He knows nothing about it. What you're doing now, who are you working for, and what do you guys do? Because it's very interesting, Josh. You're going to dig this.
Okay, so I am working for Hawker Family Sports and Entertainment. It is a startup agency working with I'm primarily working with college athletes on the new name, image, and likeness bill that just came out July 1st. That was the first time that student athletes could benefit off of that. And it's been a long time coming. This fight's been definitely something that's taken a lot of time, and it's not over yet. But that was such a big opportunity for me to even use my experience as a college athlete in a sport that ends when I'm done, to really look at student athletes and see how they can maximize their brand and everything, from a freshman year till senior year in a sport that maybe won't have professional opportunities to come. So it's definitely developing, and it's brand new. So there's a lot going on, but we have a lot of clients who are a couple gymnasts, a couple football players, and it's really cool to kind of match something that they are really passionate about with a brand that could offer them some really cool stuff. So
Yeah, I feel like every time a student athlete gets paid, the compliance director cries just a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Like Chandra is her.
oh my gosh,
Like,
yeah.
but the rules, because they love. If anyone's ever worked in college athletics, you know your compliance director. Josh worked in college athletics for a while, and CJ and myself, and you were obviously involved. But you know how compliance people are like. Yeah, that meeting at the beginning of the year, you know.
Yep.
And so they are freaking out right now. And I personally, not being in college athletics anymore, love it.
Yeah.
Because
wait, Ham, so
yes.
when I got on SportsCenter, I tagged on a tweet at ESPN, and I had to take it down because I was suggesting that they watch ESPN. And I was like, hey, I just got on SportsCenter. What? I'm getting traction. Like, this is not like, oh, it was crazy. Like,
and to me, that's like, ESPN has a little bit bigger draw than you. So you can suggest me watch ESPN all day.
Right.
ESPN suggesting people watch you.
Yeah.
Like the whole system was screwed up, and I'll be very curious where these next 10 years of college athletics leads us, because the NCAA is going to lose its ability to control things.
In their boots. Yeah.
Yeah, and
right
like I said, compliance people are freaking out because they don't know what they're going to be doing.
So explain this to me. I have no idea. So say like I'm a freshman athlete, and I want to make my own brand, or what are we doing here?
So social media is obviously like the biggest draw. Your engagement, how many followers you have, your audience is something we look at, but there's other things like a podcast. An athlete has a podcast and they get sponsored. That's another sponsorship opportunity, a YouTube channel. And then on top of that, like athletes that have their jersey sold to other people, like they can actually profit off of that. Also, if you host a Canberra clinic and coaching, that was never allowed before. So now they can use their name to do that. And I just think there's so many creative ways to go about this, and there was never like, it was a hard no. Everything had to be documented. It still does, but now it's like you can tag, if you're wearing an Under Armour outfit, you can tag Under Armour now. Whereas before you couldn't. You can't even suggest that someone even touches that like brand or goes to their page. So there's opportunities are insane. So as a freshman, like building your brand, knowing your audience, and then maybe reaching out to brands that you think would be cool to have support you. So
yeah, and I think the fun, exciting part for everybody too is like, you know, with the advent of social media and Twitch and TikTok and YouTube all becoming their things, like, you know, a lot of these like high school kids were losing amateur status because they were getting paid to stream. And you got this really weird dynamic where it's like, well, this has nothing to do with my sport. It's just me playing a game. I'm known for that more than I am, a okay baseball player.
Well, it reminds me of the punter at Marshall.
Right.
He actually gets to use his real name now as a country music star.
Yeah.
Which, like, let's be honest here. He's the punter at Marshall.
What was
Of
his name
course he
before?
plays country music. Like, it's Marshall. If you've ever been to Huntington, there's nothing else there. But he had to use a stage name because he couldn't. He was the punter at Marshall. And, like, the punter at Marshall's not famous.
Right.
I don't know the guy, but, like, that's not pumping him up. Like you said, he was
Yeah.
probably bigger in
Also,
country music.
Your dog could have gotten free treats. Like any dog Instagram gets all of the access. Like I think it's crazy that like people are able to just market crazy things, and I think it's a great thing. But now now it's a great thing because I'm like, now we can actually do it as college athletes, which is much needed. So
I think we need some Point Park and Chatham athletes to become UF athletes.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
We'll talk to Sid. We'll actually take over the whole athletic department. So we'll be like the first
Boom.
NAI and D3 schools doing it.
let's go.
That'd be pretty sweet, actually.
we
That'd be
can-
pretty cool.
We're dominating the small college market right
We're
now.
doing it.
So Sid, something serious I want to talk about, and I didn't even tell you this, but it just popped in my head. I know your team has a cause that's very near and dear to your hearts. I know right after one of your teammates, who I never met, graduated, she passed on. And I definitely want to give you an opportunity to plug the organization or what you guys have done to help raise awareness, because it's something no one thinks about, something I knew nothing about. And then one day I was at work and they're like, "Hey, did you hear what happened to that former gymnast?" I'm like, "No, I don't even know her." And I hopefully I'm not getting too emotional about it right now, but I think it's important, and all causes, to me, that can save a life are important. So if you wouldn't mind delving into that.
I would love to. So my teammate Alexandra Demora, she was my captain when I was a freshman. So very good relationship there. She was from Long Island, where I'm from. I've known her family for a long time prior to coming to GW and everything. So very close to her, very close to her family. And she did not know, she had went to Mexico on a vacation and had unfortunately suffered from drowning through a rip current. So strong athlete, incredible athlete, amazing. She was an all-rounder for our team, a lot of awards, and a super strong person. Like once she finished college gymnastics, she still worked out so much. And I think that a lot of people think that maybe they can fight a rip current or fight the ocean, but she didn't make it. And so our team decided to continue her legacy and honor her. So our assistant coach, who was also my captain, her counter captain, like there were two of them, and my coaches developed a program with the American Red Cross to educate all ages, kindergarten through 12 through adults, on the dangers of rip currents and water safety. So we have all different groups for different ages that bring awareness to ways you can stay safe in the water and what you should do. So it's amazing. And I think that it, like you said, like it can save a life. And I lived on the island. I live on Long Island, and I never knew how to even spot a rip current. So just knowing even the basics can really make a difference. So that's definitely a way we've honored her. And I know that she's definitely watching over it and would want other people to know about how to navigate the waters.
Yeah,
So.
I never met her, but when it came up, obviously I heard stories and heard what a great person she was, and I was talking to a guy who became a friend of mine, and I found out through the conversation that was his ex-girlfriend, and it was Joe McDonald. And Joe is one of the nicest humans I ever met. Joe is just a wonderful person. Joe is a heck of a basketball player. I have to add that on top because he won NIT. That's pretty cool. But yeah, so that one always kind of stuck with me, and it's kind of ironic how you get to meet one person and you can feel the other person through them. And I was like, oh, Joe was okay. Like Joe dated her. She had to be great. So that I wanted to kind of just give you a moment to touch on that. And to me, it's important that it's something people don't consider. And CJ is the kind of guy that takes like crazy vacations, like drives to I have 2 days. I'm going to drive to South Dakota and see like the Badlands. And I think
gotta live.
Oftentimes, you got to live, but you have to understand when you go hike in the Badlands, like there's rattlesnakes. Maybe you should know something about them before you step foot in it, CJ.
Didn't get bit?
Yes. But I'm just saying that, I talked to this young man about safety. And he bought a motorcycle recently. I'm trying to talk him out of it.
Haven't
Sid,
crashed.
can you talk him out of a motorcycle? Do you think? Look at this guy.
Who's the one hurting themselves falling off racks? Not me.
Oh yeah,
Him.
Bad time.
If Hammer buys a
I got more
motorcycle,
than a decade on you.
Well, I'm still walking.
And I do
fine.
wreck my mountain bike quite often.
See?
Did you get your leather jacket?
I'm gonna go denim. I'm gonna go denim. Yeah.
Okay.
He's not a leather kind of guy. What about do you wear a helmet?
You have a helmet.
I don't have a helmet yet,
Okay.
but it's in the process.
Definitely get a cool one.
Just for the record, when Tenzig sees motorcycles going by and they're not in a helmet, he yells at them. put your helmet on. What's wrong with you? I'm like, you tell him, kid. You know, this kid's raising heck in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what advice you have for these? You know, we have a gym full of athletes, strong people. You have been, a very high level athlete. What advice do you have for people? Because, to circle back to what we talked about gymnastics, Simone Biles, like, I think mental health right now is the thing that we need to talk about. We actually did at George Washington as a staff mental health first aid, which I thought was surprisingly better than I thought it would be. My boss taught it, and he wasn't, I'll just say it, Hens was not exactly the most like endearing presenter. He was kind of like, well, here's the information. But it was actually really good information. So not just mental health, but what thoughts you have, what advice you have for the athletes out there, for the people who are trying to be good at their sport, and also keep themselves sane, for lack of a better term. Like CJ, he's a little insane.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So it's crazy because I'm definitely going through a transition period where I'm like,
what now?
Like the workout load of like, I'm not a gymnast anymore. How do I like transition that kind of mental health journey versus and like physical health journey than I've done differently for the last 22 years of my life. Like this is the year where it's different. But I would say when I was an athlete, you find the things that you like to do that, if you're in school and you're in your sport, it's really hard. Your day is packed. But you know what? If you like to get your nails done, if you like to go take a walk, like go do that. Like find a time, schedule a time, and that's your time to like kind of take it for you. And that's so important. But I think now the transition period here, I'm trying to figure out ways to work out, but then also like listen to my body and make sure that I'm not, because I pushed myself for 22 years through injuries and surgeries and things like that. I don't need to work out with knee pain. I don't want to work out with knee pain. I don't have to work out with knee pain. I want to figure out a healthy way to maintain like a good fit life for life. So that navigation is definitely, I don't have it figured out at all, but I think I'm trying to still take the self-care days, but also like figure out what works for me. And what works for me is not going to work for you, Ham. It's not going to work for you, CJ. Like it's going to be different for everyone. So as an athlete, just, I would say self-care. And then as a transition period, trial and error, maybe.
Keep trying. Wrong. Ride a motorcycle. That could be your thing, CJ.
Or learn. I'm learning.
Learn to ride a motorcycle.
So
slowly.
Do you want to talk about the training that you did when you were at GW? Like, what got your base to be on SportsCenter's top 10, make it number 4? Like, what did Hammer train you or no?
I had her for a year, but I'll be honest with you, I never trained volleyball before, gymnastics. I don't know why volleyball. And in addition to that, I didn't like training gymnastics. I'm gonna be honest. Not because of the people. I liked the people.
Wow.
I didn't like training the sport because they trained.
Yeah, that was their sport.
Like their sport was, one, they were all injured. And two, they were trained. So I'm like, honestly, let's stretch, have a nice foam roll session, I didn't want them doing much because they're all injured. So like my thing was, we're not going to do much. And honestly, when I was there, we didn't do much because they're trained and they're injured. So to me, I find it a very hard sport to train. I would have to get about 10 years experience before I think I had any semblance of programming for gymnastics. But sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I never touched a weight until I got to GW. I did rope, like in the gym, we did leg lifts, we did rope climbs, we did body weight stuff. And then we got to GW and the girls were doing like squats. I've never squatted anything in my life. I could barely do the bar. I was like, what is the whole weight room experience? So that transition was very interesting for college. Navigating, working out. We had our lifts scheduled Monday mornings. Then we had Tuesday through Friday practice. Then we had Friday midday lift, off Saturday, Sunday night practice. So we had some kind of like the days off and everything. It was definitely like the routine was interesting. So when we would go 4 days from a practice, that's where Hammer comes in and saying, we're not going for hard lift today. You're going to roll out and you're going to stretch your body. So trying to learn how to do it correctly and then keep the gymnastics mindset of like, we move quickly through the workouts, and Hammer's like, slow it down, like slow down the movements. That was not like how we are programmed. Like our practices move like lightning. And when we got into the weight room, it was definitely an adjustment because we're with someone that's like, no, you have to do it like quality. It's not about quantity. So that was cool. Cool in some ways, but also like it tested our mind. And then just the patience and the energy that we brought to every lift session, I thought was definitely a different thing for Hammer to probably ever experience.
Probably some wild breakdowns, huh?
They brought, listen, no team brings the juice like gymnastics. They bring like nonstop juice. I'm like, can we?
Nonstop. Like
I love juice.
Yeah.
Maybe bring it down a notch. We don't need to be at 11.
No, I like 11.
You would
did 11 for an hour. Like it was there could be no silence. And like,
that's great.
That was the standard. So you were given 100% for an hour.
And you guys had John Grundy after me, right?
Yeah.
I love Grundy. You know Grundy? Grundy?
Nope.
He's the head guy at Marymount now, and he is an awesome dude. Just spoke to him recently. Love Grundy. Always will love Grundy.
Great guy.
Yeah, just a good dude.
He sounds like a made up like cartoon teddy bear.
He is kind of like
when you see him, he's freaking cool.
Yeah.
He's a fictitious human.
Okay.
He is a bit of like a cartoon character.
Yeah.
I hired this dude. Here's the story of him. So you ready for this? We get all these resumes for his position. And I hired that dude not knowing anyone he knew or like no connections, but he had worked at Liberty. And I was like, oh, well, I know Bill Gillespie, who was a longtime director at Liberty. So I said to him in the interview, I said, John, if I called Bill right now and said, what would you think of this guy that interned for you 4 years ago? And he gave a great answer. He said, honestly, I don't know if he'd say anything or remember me. And I was like, well, that's not so far. The answer starting out really bad.
Poor. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he said, I just, I've been thinking about it. And this is a big mistake I made throughout my career. I haven't stayed in contact with those people that I interned with early on in my career. And I really should have. It's 100% my fault. And I was like, wow, what a great answer. Because you said, here's an error I made. And then the best part is, like a year ago, he called me and said, it's funny, I just called Gillespie. And I thanked him for being my first mentor. And he did remember me. And I was like, oh, see, awesome that would happen. So you guys have any other questions for Cyd? Well, we got her here all the way from Strong Island.
Yeah. You need to teach me how to do that thing on the ring so I just hold myself up.
Oh, gosh. I hope you have strong shoulders.
That looks intense. They're pretty nice, huh, Ham? I see you looking.
Me and CJ were training one day, and a friend of ours, a young lady, came by, and she was just staring.
This might be R-rated for the podcast,
was like,
sir.
Your butt looks really good. And I was like, all right, it's getting a little awkward. Like if a dude did that, this would be a problem. Yeah, not me, CJ.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of gave one of those. So
yeah.
That's where. So he got some muscles over there.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Cyd, thank you for joining us today. It was awesome to catch up. Definitely. When you're in Pittsburgh, the spot you're coming to.
Union Fitness.
We'll hold a clinic and you could teach Hammer how to land.
There is a bar next door too, by the way. And by next door, I mean like.
I do have to buy you a beer. That's been a year prolonged.
Josh too. He needs a beer. He's looking at me. What about me, man? I'm over here. Well, Cyd, thanks for joining us today on the Union Fitness Podcast. CJ, do you have any parting words for our friends?
Stay safe and don't get the twisties.
Avoid the twisties.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of the Union Fitness Podcast, as we call it the U around here, brought to you by Josh Elsas and the Milwaukee Bucks.
The king of sass.
Rock and roll, everyone. Stay safe out there.
Sponsored
Love
by
y'all.
Iron City Beer.